this is Attorney Walter Wolfnauth III with Disability Resolution PA. We're going to be going through the article right now that's from astronomy.com. Specifically, we could feed 1 million people living in colonies on Mars. And what this article is about is essentially talking about how they're going to feed a significant amount of people throughout the process of forming colonies on Mars. And this is pretty cool. This is written by Erica K. Carlson. It's an older article, but I think it's important. September 25th, 2019. Let's read. With bugs, algae, and other resource-efficient foods, we could feed 1 million people on Mars within a century of arriving there. Scientists even invented a Martian diet. Let's continue. In the science fiction novel, the movie The Martian, right, a stranded astronaut survives more than 500 days on Mars by growing potatoes. A permanent human settlement on Mars would need to do much better. And according to a computer model created by a planetary scientist, that's actually an attainable goal. With the right food sources, we could grow a 1 million-person population on Mars that doesn't depend on food shipped from Earth in about 100 years. A recent paper in the journal New Space reports that's good because Earth is going to become too expensive due to their taxation goals. Companies like SpaceX have made exciting steps toward the possibility of humans on Mars, says Kevin Cannon, a planetary scientist at the University of Central Florida and lead author of the study. But beyond the challenge of getting humans to Mars as the first place, there's a lot of work left to figure out how to make a self-sufficient functioning society there. Hence, spaceconstitution.com. We create the first growing super modular constitution for a colony to grow in space. But anyway, that's not the point of this article. Let's keep going. But if you do get a chance, go to spaceconstitution.com. We're still building it up and rolling. I think looking in the long term, the real challenge is to start producing everything you need from the local materials on Mars, Cannon says. And then it just cuts off. Anyways, we'll keep going. Farming on Mars. Cannon and colleagues model the food needs of human population on Mars that grows to 1 million over about 100 Earth years through a combination of immigration and reproduction. Though the settlement would need to import a lot of food at the start, of course, it could transition to an entirely Martian growth diet in about a century with the right food choices they found. I don't know what they're going to find there. I mean, obviously bacteria are very small things, but, we'll have to go from there. The major limiting factor is space, or rather, the ability to create spaces suitable for growing food. So creating modular establishments, right? Little buildings. On Earth, the amount of available arable land restricts our ability to grow food, whether plants, animals, or something else. On Mars, we'd have to create these spaces pretty much in total. Enclosed, pressurized, and heated structures. For efficiency's sake, a Martian society would need to choose food sources that are high in nutrients and calories relative to the space they need to grow. Traditionally, farmed animals produce, and certain plants need a lot of resources and may be impractical on Mars, Cannon says. But that doesn't necessarily mean sacrificing variety in Martian diets. His team's models include 3 main categories of food sources: plant-based foods, edible insects, and cellular agriculture, protein-rich foods like algae and lab-grown meats, dairy and eggs that can be grown from cells. Cannon has created a website compiling a list of businesses working to create food in these ways today, often with the goal of more resource-efficient and sustainable food production on Earth in mind. This includes eating plants like beans, tomatoes, and potatoes, as well as GMO products modified to include more nutrients and grow more sustainably. A number of companies today make insect-based products, whether that's whole crickets or powdered insects to use as flour, that aspiring Martians can sample as well. The limitations that Mars would put on you in producing food kinds forces you into practices that turn out to be more sustainable on Earth. All right, what they're saying here is bugs have a reproduction rate that is astounding based upon the energy that they need to create zillions of them. That's a food source. Algae, that's a food source. Traditional forms of food that we expect, meat, a hamburger, right? Well, a lot of those things can be grown now. We can grow meat, and when growing meat, we can go ahead and utilize that to eat it, etc. So what I'm getting at here is that we are starting to understand the breakdown of the DNA structure of all of these different things that exist. By and large, the molecules, and breaking it down to the smallest potential quarks and things like that, particles that exist. Through that, we can not only go ahead and grow the food, but the reality is this. With quantum entanglement and things like that, we may be able to create food in new ways. As opposed to having to grow them, we may be able to just have them entangle with other particles to create things. I want you to also consider something else, which is that with quantum entanglement, you can go ahead and grow food on Earth and then have it appear on Mars by using basically teleportation through quantum entanglement. So I think this is interesting. I think this is a start, but 100 years from now, I think growing food is going to be unrealistic. I think essentially we'll have the technology to go ahead and have the atoms just line up in a proper formation to go ahead and create whatever we want. You press a button on a machine, you open the lid if you even need to. It might just pop up. But you'll be able to essentially have food, right then and there. And I think that's a really cool thing. I don't think growing food is kind of the future of this whole thing. It's a stepping stone. We need it, but it's not going to be the future. That's like saying we need solar panel green energy. We don't need that. We need fusion. If we have fusion, we can make bottle-sized fusion. If we have thermos bottle-sized fusion, we don't need solar panels. We don't need windmills. We don't need we don't need it. You know what I mean? All these giant, space stations, mega solar panels, all that, we don't need it. Thermos bottle-sized fusion reactor on board a satellite, on board a space colony, on board a space station. You're good. Done. Right there. All the power you'll ever need. All right, guys. Attorney Walter Knott. I'll catch you a little bit later. Remember, Thursdays, 8 to 10 p.m. I go live. If you want to ask me questions then, that's fine. Also, please remember, if you want to ask me questions about YouTube stuff, this isn't my job. I work from 9 to 5. It's actually more hours than that. But 9 to 5, I work at the law firm for working, to obtain benefits for people. So if you're already receiving benefits, don't call the law firm. Catch up with me from 8 to 10 every Thursday if you have questions then. I'll catch you a little bit later, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.